what exactly is he doing? What exactly going to happen over here? And you should see how they start to beg him. Please don't call the king. Please don't call the governor. And that was the last time that we got Gishmei Bracha. I've asked my father, what is that? Where do you take the guts to do such a thing? He says, I'm a shliach of the Rebbe, and that's what it is. And when you go with the Rebbe's keiches, there's nothing what to be afraid of. And that's how it was. So again, when we come Hey Tevis, this is a time that we, especially those that were there, we think about those days, and we think now that we find ourselves, it's been quite a while that we haven't seen the Rebbe Pashat Gachmius. This creates in us Gaguin, and a day like this is a day to celebrate his kashrus. And I want to bring out a very interesting point from a letter of the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe writes like this: Kamayim hapanim el hapanim, minhag hachsidim hamkushorim. That's the custom of the Chassidim, the Hamkushorim, the whole day of Adir, in all the generation, shehayu krevim lahem zman miyuchad. They would fix a time, a specific time, mehem shah l'yom, some an hour a day, like pam l'shavua, once a week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes a month, l'is'er berikshay ava l'meiram v'rabam, to awake with feelings of love to their Rebbe. And then he writes in Yiddish, Poshet lieb haben dem Rebbe be'ava mudgeshes balev kemoi ava besaris li'isha ubanim. To love the Rebbe the same as there is a physical love to a wife and children. Besides remembering, every time we bench that we say Rachman Yivarech, he writes a Smeirenu. Ubis Eiruz Rikshei Ava, and the feeling of love, Hayimetzayrim Le'atzmam Esomazmanim Shoyu B'Yechidus. They would picture themselves the times they were in Yechidus, when they heard Chassidus, or you make Sistvadas, or you verbringen, Shebe'efen Hanhaga Kazu, or you Tamit Mekusham. In that kind of a conduct, they would always remember Mekusham. And then he concludes, Va'il al Kulana Yaveda B'Peil. In other words, we could talk about feelings and yearning. I love the Rebbe, but it has to come down into something actual. Kol echad lefi yichalte, everyone according to their ability. Hein be'atzmei ve'hin uzulasei. So l'chaim, the Yeshua should give us the keiches that we should be able to transmit, not just to ourselves, to relive those days and be able to give it to our kids, to our grandchildren. The main thing is, with all the evils, with Niskes, Hashem, with the Rebbe, the Kol Mash. L'chaim.
want to say a few words before we continue with Rabbi Raskin. So this is a Hakel Fabring and a Hakel year, and it's very negea to Fabring about Hatzloches in Hakel, meaning not only theories about how to do Hakel, because we're talking in the month of Tavis already. We're way into the year, and so through the night, hopefully we'll have a few people that will share with us some things of what they do in the Yonah Hakel. And I also, if anyone wants to share a few words about the Yonim of Hakel that they're involved in, and Mechazik the Oilam, please let me know. And I often have a bringing it. It doesn't have to be on a podium. It's an often have a bringing. So I'll just share a little bit what we do in Yagdul Toiros for the month of Hakel, and for the year of Hakel. Baruch Hashem is very much Sliach, which is one of the things is that from the people who come to learn Yagdul Toiros, they organize in their own offices or places of work a shir once a week. I mean, every week we do it somewhere else, but the Chavra themselves organize between the people who work with them in the building, their neighbors, and they invite them for a special shir in Hakel. And it's very much sliach. You have people, Frei Eden, that work in the building, other Anash members that join the shir and they learn about the Indian of Hakel and they get inspired about it. The manishmul manilmid. So it's very, very much sliach in such a way. So it's something which doesn't have to be only under the Mizgeres of Yagdul Torah. It could be every person, no matter where he is, he's Svive, to gather the people around him, if it's his neighbors, if it's the people who work with him or when he works, and to set up a shir. And it's very interesting that we speak about the Hakel cards, which are on the tables. And the idea of the Hakel cards are that I saw in the Sikh of Yudhim Tisha in Memchez that it's a way to remind ourselves and to remind other people about doing in Hakel, meaning it keeps you on check. It keeps you, making sure that you're actually doing something about it, that it's not just something that you did once and that's it. No, it's every month you're involved in an union of Hakel in a different way. But the point is that you have a responsibility to make sure that you are involved in it. And when you have, when it's recorded on a card and there is someone that makes sure to call you and to remind you about it, it makes sure that you do it. It brings that a responsibility. So there was an idea that not only we should fill out Hakel cards and be called by the Hakel office, which Kanamokim Lahaskir, Rabbi Leibel son, who's involved in calling. I'm sure many of you got a phone call about it, but it's also about making other of your chaverim, people that you know, Frayim, other people, Mikuravim, that they themselves should fill out a card, meaning, and give it to you. You could be the one that will follow up with them and make sure that they're doing an Hakel every month. I mean, you could take it upon yourself to make sure that a few of your chaverim are doing an Hakel. So that's a very wichtig and a good. So l'chaim, we should be poil in Hakel until the Hakel ha-kol godel yeshuvu heino v'bias Mashiach tzidkeinu. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Start with another Vedite Hava. This one is in Vermont. It's connected with Canada. He was the first year when we were shlichus in Vermont, Tafshin Dalet Mem, 1984, and there is, as you know, in the beginning, there's not that much support, not that much help. It's even that some people don't even want you there. I remember like today, I think it was the second or third Shabbos, and I was walking to the old shul. Those are all familiar, it's not functioning anymore. But I was walking with my talis over my shoulders, and someone drove by, opened the window, he says, "Go back from where you came from." It happens to be, obviously, it was a Yid. The end of the story is that over time, we became good friends. But anyways, that was the welcome. So you have to depend on a few individuals that help you out. So there was one Yid that happens to be came the same time that we came to Vermont, and that is because at that time was the breakup of the telephone. In other words, the federal had let go from the phone company, and then everyone was able to open up their own company. So everyone was trying to compete, and he opened up like there is now so many different ones, Sprint and all those. So that's how it was then. So this individual, he came to Vermont and he opened up an office. He bought some telephone lines for selling it. He had a 1-800 numbers and other things. He was trying to create a partnership with Canada. At that time, there was an individual that was working for the Bell Company in 1984. I understand that he's today in Toronto. Maybe some people may know him by the name George Adler. He lived in Ottawa then, and they were negotiating a deal from Vermont to Ottawa. This individual calls me up and he says, "I'm very, very upset." What's the matter? He says, "Because we are about to sign this deal that we believe will bring lots and lots of money. However, this George, he wrote to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, Einei Kedai, it is not worth it to do this deal. So he's not going to do the deal." So this individual turns to me and he says, "What does the Rebbe know about telephone, about deals, about all that stuff? What is it? What's going on over here?" And he's so agitated. You have to also see that that's the only person that helps me out there. And then just like this, he tells me, "Here, take a ticket, take money here." He's giving me a ticket. "Go to New York and try to change your Rebbe's mind." So he gave me a ticket, so number one, Leilam Tikach. It's a ticket, you know? Even though it was People's Express, anyone remembers? People's Express, 1985. I think it was $29 one way. Okay, I'm sitting on the plane, I'm thinking to myself, what exactly am I doing? I'm going to New York, what's exactly the plan over here? Well, come to New York, I go into the entrance, standing there maybe close to the magnet, was familiar a little bit with that, thinking, what exactly? And as I'm thinking to myself, Rabbi Binyamin Kleinold Hashem walks out and he sees me and he says, "Hey, Raskin, du guckst durchs Fachmuret. You look a little bit down. What's your problem?" So I tell him I'm a little bit embarrassed to help this all of us, and he's asking questions. So he says to me, so, schreib zum Rebbe. Write to the Rebbe exactly what you have this what's going on. And to me, it doesn't make sense. When I write to the Rebbe, the Rebbe said that doesn't make sense. So where did I come into this picture? I mean, I tried to call Morocco to discuss it with my father, can't get through. I remember going downstairs and some Sandy sitting down with a zettel, with a pen and paper, trying to write. You have to understand, just to write this, just the beginning. I think myself, what exactly what? And then, as we'd say, just out of the blue, a thought fell in, and this is how I wrote to the Rebbe, that I'm asking a bracha from the Rebbe that I should be able to explain this individual that the Rebbe is right. And that's what I did. It didn't take long. It was an hour, because I gave it to Rabbi Klein. Binyamin is looking for me. I'm still downstairs in some 70. He calls me in and he shows me the Rebbe answer. 2 words, Kvar Onisi. I already answered. I flew back and I tried, as much as I tried to explain this on bus, that the Rebbe knows what he's talking about, he's arguing with me, but he looks so good. He is a Fumiyid, so the only way to come whenever we had a mini those days, to come and daven, because he lived in Israel, and he traveled back and forth. Once a month he came to Vermont. So he knew for all his Yiddishkeit needs, so he has to come. So, however, the relationship was not the same. It was cold. 2 years later, I got a phone call. It says, could you come over? I would like to tell you this face to face in the office. I came over, he said to me, you remember that story? I said, yeah. He says, I don't know what you Rebbe knows, but this is unbelievable. Because we were told that Canada is not going to break up. It's not going to happen. And on that assumption, that's how we proposed this deal. But just now, I think it's 1986, just now the Canadians have decided also to break up the LaBelle company and to break it up to that it could become privatized. And if we would have done this deal 2 years ago, we would have lost everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Something that I, then, Baruch Hashem, he's still a very good friend and he helps a lot. We're going back to Hey Tavis, and when we talk about our relation to the Rebbe, so here becomes a very interesting question. We all say דידן Notzach. What does it mean when we say דידן Notzach? I remember by my L'chaim, then they didn't call it L'chaim, then they called it a vote. So happens to be that my uncle, Rabbi דידן, Evan Yisrael, was in New York then, so he was at the vote. So the Bachim, when we finished